Good morning, class. For our lesson for this morning is all about heating the atmosphere. Our learning outcomes is first is describe, last is summarize the radiation, conduction, and convection. So activity time. So for our activity this morning is all about land versus heating mechanics. Heating or mechanics. First, fill one pan with soil and the other with the unequal amount of water. Second is place both pan under the heat lamp. Position the thermometers above the surface matter in the atmosphere layer. Third is record the initial temperature, then monitor the record them every 3 minutes for about 15 minutes. This chapter is divided into 6 parts. So first, the sun and its energy. Second is the electromagnetic spectrum. 3 is the absorption of heat. And fourth is mechanism of heat transfer. And fifth is variation in air temperature. And lastly is the season. So first, we tackle about the sun and its energy. So, class, I have one question. How important is the sun? Okay, very good. From the earliest times, man has realized the importance of the sun. Without the sun, there will be no life on earth because of the vital importance of the sun, and it has sometimes been regarded as a god. So, importante jud ang sun, class, especially for our life on earth. Kay it provides the light heat necessary for the plant to grow, which forms the base of the most food change kanatong mga gipangkaon. The sun also drives our weather patterns, ocean currents. Without the sun, earth would be a cold or dark, lifeless planet. So, second question, how does the sun get its energy? So, scientists believe that the sun provides tremendous heat and light energy by means of the nuclear fusion. Much of the sun consists of the hydrogen gas. So, ngano di ay nuclear fusion, class? So, the sun gets energy from the nuclear fusion. In the core, hydrogen atoms fuse together to form helium. Yeah, mag-release siya tremendous amount of energy in the process. So this energy is emitted as a light and heat. So last question, do you recall Einstein MC2 by time? So this discovered that the matter can be converted into energy and vice versa is one of the most important discoveries of the 20th century. So second is the electromagnetic spectrum. So how does the sun send its energy through space? So scientists think that energy is carried in the form of waves. So these waves are similar to the waves produced by an electromagnet. So therefore, they're called electromagnetic waves. So the electromagnetic spectrum include the color of the rainbow. So like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So violet has the shortest wavelength and red is the longest wavelength. So these closest invisible waves to the violet are called ultraviolet rays. Kanang nga ultraviolet rays are responsible for the sunburn after intense exposure, located at adjacent to the red, having a longer wavelength in infrared radiation which cannot see but feel as a heat. For example, class ka ng mga ligo tag dagat, di ba? Kung too much exposure ang atong pag-kuan sa sun, di ba? After ana, makakuan ka ng sunburn. third is the absorption of heat. So around 35% is reflected light away to space, and about 65% of enters the atmosphere, and 20% is absorbed by the molecules there. So absorb the sunlight change partly to the heat, hence temperature are hotter in the upper strata. About 40% of the sunlight then pass through air molecules and hits the around where it absorbed and radiate back to the atmosphere as a heat or infrared works. So this heat is readily absorbed by carbon dioxide and water vapor. So thus, only a part of the heat reach the higher altitude. So this is there as on why air at the lower part is warm near the ground and become colder with an increase in heat.
Alright, so at this juncture or at this point, we will explore about the three ways of heat transfer. So, next. So, the three ways of the heat transfer are the conduction, convection, and also the radiation. So first, what is the conduction? So the conduction is the heat transfer between substances that directly contracting each other. So the conduction that is transferred through the collisions from the molecules to another with the heat flowing from the higher temperature to the lower temperature. So when we say conduction, these are the heat transfer in a directly or a material that is directed to the heat. So for example, the spoon, or when you place a spoon in a cup of the coffee or in the cup of a coffee, and the handle of the spoon will be heated, or the spoon becomes hot. So in that example, or for that instance, the conduction was the conduction was stated in there. So when we see conduction, it is directly contacting with each other. So directed ra ang iyahang ang pag-transfer sa heat. So in a material or other substance that is transferred to the heat. So the second one is the convection. So when we say convection, it is transferred by the movement of mass or substances from place to another. So when we say convection, this is the up and down movement of the gases and liquid. So it is caused by the heat transfer. Since we are talking about the heat transfer, so naasad siya another nga way of heat transfer, which is the convection. So when a gas or a liquid heated, it warms, expands, and rises because it is less dense. But if the gas or liquid cools, it becomes denser. So for example, the example for this is this, what you can see in the picture. So nagboil ka og water. If you boil that water, the gases that releases from the boiled water, mo na siya ang matawag nato nga convection, kana mga aso nato nga makita. So mo na siya ang matawag nato nga convection. And that kana ang particles pod nga naapa sa kana ang pan, mo na siya ang gitawag nato og liquid that cools below. So mo na siya nga nahimo siya og denser. So the next one is the radiation. So this is defined as electromagnetic that travel through the space. So energy moves through the material such as water, glass, or air without the aid of the material. So um, this way of heat transfer is electromagnetic that um, that that electromagnetic waves that has a contact with object. So the waves transfer of the heat to that object. So um, for example, the bonfire. So if you are near or dili ka kaayo closely nga duol gid kaayo sa bonfire, maka-feel ka og init. So that feeling nga naka-feel ka og kani ang init nga duol ka sa bonfire, that is what we call radiation. So the electromagnetic wave that travel through the space, dili siya ingon nga directed jud kaayo nga ma-feel jud kaayo nimo, same sa conduction nga if you touch that object, maka-feel dayon ka og heat. But here in the radiation, you don't need to you don't need to touch that object in order to feel that heat. So in this kani ang way of heat transfer, the electromagnetic wave will play a crucial role. So mo na siya ang electromagnetic wave that travels through the space. So mo na siya ang sa radiation. So again, the conduction, convection, and the radiation are the three ways of heat transfer. So conduction, convection, and radiation are the important ways of heat that moves through our lives. So because they are the heat that transfer in principles that we experience in everyday life. So again, in the conduction, I forgot that in conduction, naa siya good conductor and poor conductor. So the good conductor are the copper, silver, iron, and steel. Where in the poor conductor, we have a wood, styrofoam, paper, and air. So that's it. So next. So as what I've explained earlier, so muna siya, energy moves by the conduction. When the energy moves by conduction, it moves through the material without itself moving. So sa ako ang example kaganina nga katong spoon nga imong ibutang sa coffee, if you touch that handle of the spoon, you can feel the heat transfer. So next. So the energy moves by the convection. So we are done explaining this. So when fluids are heated, convection occurs, like heating causes atoms to spread out. When this happens, the volume increases but the mass does not change. So as what I've explained earlier, nga kato ang magpabukal og water, if you boil water, ang katong na-release na nga gas, moto siya ang gitawag nato nga convection. And that particles that remain in the kanang kaldero, so wala siya ang kanaang mass nga or volume nga dili na siya mo change, like moto siya ang mga substances nga nagpabilin. So next. So the next one or the last one is the energy moves by the radiation. So when you light a candle, the wick becomes heated. Since the heated wick is warmer than its surroundings, sends out energy in all directions. It radiates energy. When the earth is heated, the surface which is warm by the sun emits radiation back on the atmosphere, but we can't see the radiation given off because of the Earth's surface is not powerful enough to emit energy in wavelength. So, dili lang ta mo dig into deeper sa ing ana kay we must focus sa ato ang mga na-experience in our daily lives. So, sa ako ang example ka ganina, katong bonfire and also sa sunlight. Kani pong sa sunlight class, we can also feel the radiation through the sunlight because we cannot touch the sun again. So, ironically, dili nato siya matouch jud ang sun. We can't feel directed to the sun, but because of the radiation, we can feel the heat of the sun. So, dili siya nato ingon nga diretso gyud nato siya or directed gyud kaayo nato siya nga ma-feel. So, mo na siya ang radiation. Next. So, at this point, we will move to the variation in air temperature. Alright. So, air temperature. The air temperature is the temperature of the air at the Earth's surface. Depends on how much energy energy it gets from the sun. Energy from the sun warms the Earth's surface, and energy from the Earth's surface warms at the atmosphere. So, air temperature class does not stay stay all time. It changes from place to place and from time to time. So, these changes are called variations in temperature. So, here are the main reasons why temperature varies. So, muna siya ang mga reason kung anong importante man ang air temperature. So, first, we have the time of day. So, in morning, di ba, maka-feel ta nga in morning, it is cooler. Dili siya humid. But in the afternoon, we can feel the humidity. We can feel nga init, and because of the sun is directly overhead. So at night, we can feel cooler again. Why? Ngano maka-feel man ta ana? Because the amount of the sunlight sunlight hitting Earth changes throughout the day. So that's the air temperature vary. So the second one, we have the location or place. So as what you can see in the slide, ano siya, location or place. Places near at the equator like the Philippines. So sa ato mag-focus ta sa ato dinhi sa Philippines. So are usually hotter because they get directed to the sunlight. Kanang maka-feel man ta og mas init ang sa ato dinhi sa Philippines. Why? Because we are near at the equator. So as what you can see in the picture above, so if you are near at the equator, so duol jud kaayo ta sa kini ang sun, or permindi ta nga mainitan jud. And now, places near at the poles like Antarctica are colder because the sunlight spreads out more. So, pareha sa kanang mga North Pole. So, dili kayo sila maigo sa init. Next is the altitude. So, altitude are the height above the sea level. It is the higher you go, the colder it gets. Example, mountains are colder than the lowlands. So, for example, if moadto ka og Magsanga, so moadto ka og mountain. So, if makaabot ka ngadto you can feel cooler. Pero if naagali ka dinhi sa city, naa ka sa Ormoc sa city, naa ka sa mga lowlands, you can feel humid. Why is it? Because sa taong ngayon gagawin na, the higher you go, the cooler it gets. So next is the nearness to water. So places that near the ocean have a milder temperature, not too hot and not too cold. Water heats up and cools down slowly, that keeping the nearby areas comfortable. The next one is the weather conditions. So the weather conditions are likely the cloudy days that cooler clouds block the sun. During the cloudy days, as what we experience in our daily lives, so pareha sa ato ang mga experience nga if cloudy days gani kay unsa man kani ang feel nato kay mura siya ngit-ngit because the clouds are unsa man the clouds block the sun, but dili siya ingon nga bantog lang kay ang clouds kay naka-block na siya sa sun, maka-feel na ta og cooler, maka-feel na ta og kani ang kabugnaw, but we can also feel the humidity, ang kainit. So and also the clear days, if kana ang wala jud kaayoy kini ang sun ay kana ang lagi the clear days, if wala jud kaayoy kini ang clouds, maka-feel ta og hot. And also the rainy days. So the rainy days are cooler. So that were the weather conditions. So the next one is the wind. So the cold wind lowers the temperature and the warm wind increases the temperature. So again, the warm wind, it increases the temperature. So if ang atong palibot is maka-feel na ta og gani ang warm, so the more warmer the environment, the more or the higher the temperature is, and the more colder mo pud siya ang magtika, lower pud ang temperature. So wind brings air from other places that changing the temperature in our area. So the last one, it is very crucial or it is very important, the human activities. Okay, so the human activities. So cities with lots of buildings, cars, and factories are warmer. Why is it? So why is it nganong init man sa cities? It's because daghan og mga air pollution, di ba? So daghan ng air pollution, and also the trees are cutted na. Wala na kayo'y daghan nga kahoy sa palibot if nanadjud ka sa city moong if kani ang naa ka sa ormoc, init jud kaayo. Kaya nga naman gamay ra ang trees nga nakapalibot. Walay maka-absorb sa mga carbon dioxide nga naa sa palibot or mga pollutions. So this is called the urban heat island effect. So in short, air temperature changes of time of day, location on earth, heights, nearness to water, weather, wind, and also the human activities. Okay, next. So the last one. So the last lesson, the seasons. All right. So seasons is a period of the year that has a certain kind of weather pattern. The 4 seasons are summer. Okay, next. The 4 seasons are the summer, fall, fall or autumn, winter, and spring. For example, the Philippines has only 2 main seasons, wet and dry season. So, mo to siya ang summer and ting uwan, the wet seasons. But why do seasons happen? Again, why do seasons happen? A season is a period of the year that is distinguished by special climate conditions. So again, the 4 seasons are the spring, summer, fall, and winter. Each has its own light, temperature, and weather patterns that repeat yearly. Next. Next. Alright, so in the northern hemisphere, winter generally begins on December 21 or December 22. This is the winter solstice, the day of the year with shortest period of daylight, and the summer begins on June 20 or 21. So again, so winter solstice. So mo na siya ang kadali ra ang day, pero taas ang unsa man? Taas ang night sa summer. Wait. Sa class. Sa winter. So again, sa winter, the part of the earth tilting away from the sun gets less sunlight. So days are shorter. So as what I've said earlier, that days are shorter and the weather is colder. So in the summer, the summer begins on June 20 or 21, the summer solstice. So if the winter, ang winter kaganina is winter solstice, here in the summer is the summer solstice, which has the most daylight of any day in the year. Spring and fall or autumn begin the equinoxes, days that have equal amounts of daylight and darkness. So during this summer, the part of the earth tilting toward the sun gets direct sunlight. So mo na siyang taas ang day and mas shorter ang night. So next, the vernal or spring equinox falls on March 20 or 21, and the autumnal equinoxes on September 22 or 23. Seasons occur because Earth is tilted on its axis. So as what I've said earlier, that the Earth is tilted. If the summer siya, that the tilted Earth is near at the sun, moong taas ang day and shorter ang night. So Earth axis is an invisible line that runs through its center from the pole to pole. Earth rotates around its axis. Next. Places near the equator experience little seasonal variation. They have about the same amount of daylight and darkness throughout the year. So the best example for this is our country, the Philippines. So we experience 2 seasons only. So polar regions experience seasonal variation, although they are generally colder than other places on the earth. Near the poles, the amount of daylight changes dramatically between summer and winter. So it happens naa sa mga North Pole and the South Pole. Maka-experience sila og kani ang mas longer ang day and mas shorter ang night, and the other pole same sa north, maka-experience sila og mas taas ang ilahang day ay ilahang night kaysa sa ding init. Next. So again, that's all. So let us have a summary. So the seasons happen because of, first is the Earth's tilt. Second one is the Earth's revolution around the sun, and this causes changes in temperature, day length, and also the weather patterns. So thank you for listening, and I hope that you get something lessons for tonight's video. And that's all. Thank you.